Hello and welcome to Life Beyond the Checklist. I'm your host, Mary Saba. I'm a life coach and conflict mediator. And in this podcast, I help you build a more authentic life, less shaped by capitalism rules and more by your own rules. So let's start. How many I shoulds do you say to yourself every day? And that's today's question. And really, have you ever counted how many times per day you say to yourself, I should do this, I should do that? Because I asked myself these questions a few months ago, and oh my God, I realized I had an endless list. I should see my friends more. I should work harder. I should be productive. It's a full list of I should that I repeat to myself every day. And that's exactly what this episode is all about. It's about noticing all the shoulds that are running our life and slowly replacing them with something that I understood in these months of working on my shoulds, something that is much more powerful, which is I allow myself. And I'll explain you later what I mean with that. But if you feel sad, constrained, or unhappy living in your shoulds, you are in the right place. Because if you feel like you're following a life structure that is being imposed rather than chosen by you, well, that's maybe a sign that there's something that isn't right in the way you live your life. And I want to help you if you're trying to find your path out of the ways that has been taught by our family, society, school, friends, etc. So here I want to support those people who feel that those goals that the society imposes, like you have to have a beautiful house, you have to have a successful work, you have to earn enough money to be able to buy stuff, then you're having a good life. Otherwise, you're probably a failure. So I want to build a community where people can feel at home. So it doesn't matter what you want, because even if you want lots of money, a big house, a beautiful car, maybe you feel an outsider because the way you're getting there is making you feel unhappy. So maybe it's not about what you want, but it's about the strategy, it's about the way that you're trying to get there that is just not working for you. So maybe you have to find a more authentic way to get to those things that just make sense for you. And in this first episode, what we're going to do is just to try to notice all those shoulds that they are in your mind, but also trying to understand where all these I shoulds come from. And I would like to start with a story, because when I was writing this episode, the first thing that came into my mind, it was actually a 6 years old Mary Saba saying to her mom, why should I study? Why should I find a job? Just get retired and then eventually just die. So I remember when I was in primary school, I used to ask these questions to my mom because I couldn't understand why society was just built that way. Why I couldn't just decide what I want to do with my life. And that's great for a kid, right? But my mom, I remember that she just used to answer to me things like, oh, just focus on study, whatever. And of course, the answer was not enough for me. But what happened is that I grew up with workaholic parents. I was mainly raised by my grandma because my parents were always busy. So the sad part of the story is that eventually their lifestyle just became mine at some point. So I completely forgot about the 6 years old Merisaba who just wanted to be free and live the life that she wanted. And I just started to live the life that my parents were living because it was my example. So without even realizing, I learned the work always comes first, before health, before people, before myself. But then, after 15 years of living like that, something happened in my life that made me realize that I can't live like that. It's just like my body decided just to stop and took all decisions on my mind. And that was a burnout. So when I was diagnosed with burnout, I finally realized that this way of living, like just workaholic, maybe worked for my parents, but well, it didn't work for me. So the 6 years old Merisaba was already telling me that this wasn't the life that she wanted. But adult Merisaba was completely immersed in the belief that I developed growing up with my workaholic parents, together with all the ideas of success that the society had taught me and had just told us. That idea of success just followed me everywhere and in every choice of my work career. And I think that I actually got there, but just for a very short period of my life, which was when I was working as a wedding planner for luxury weddings. But then I was also feeling very empty, and I was feeling that I was not living according to my values. There was a voice inside of me telling me that I was not living according to my values. And I also think that I could have got to that success much earlier than my 30s, but I didn't. And I think it's because there was a voice of Mary Saba in her 6 years old just screaming, why should we work just so hard to buy stuff, to own stuff? So throughout my life, I think that I've changed jobs and countries. I lived in 6 countries, and I think I changed maybe around 10 jobs in my life for many reasons. But I think that I was also running after one should after another until I was finally diagnosed with burnout in 2025. And since then, my life has been changing. And I say that it's been changing because I can feel that I'm still transitioning. And I think that what brought me to burnout were actually the millions of I should that are constantly running through my mind. So at that time, I was working many hours per day when I was a wedding planner, and I had so many should in my mind. Like, for example, I should plan the perfect wedding for my clients. Nothing should go wrong. I should always be available for my clients. And then I remember that another thought was like, I should be an amazing employee. So I should always say yes to my boss. As you can see, there were no shirts like I should take care of myself. I should take breaks, or there weren't. There was just like shirts related to what I should give to other people to show that I'm a good worker, to show that I'm a good friend and a good partner. And honestly, I think that I was doing well. I think that I was responding to all those I should by doing exactly what I was expecting from myself. And of course, I wasn't perfect, right? But throughout my career as a wedding planner, I never had clients who were unhappy with my work. And my boss was quite proud of me. So the problem was, I think, that I wasn't proud of myself because it was never enough. So the biggest should that I had in my mind was I should have done more. And maybe you can relate to this. Maybe you're constantly telling yourself how much you should do more. And no matter what you achieve, it never feels enough because you think that you always should be done more. And maybe that's the biggest I should, or at least I realized that was my biggest I should that brought me eventually to burnout. And that's what happened then. That's my body at a certain point simply stopped. So my body stopped all the I should. And actually looking back, I think that my body knew that I couldn't live like that. But my mind wasn't listening because it was following just a pattern. So when my body just shut down, there was nothing else left for me to do except rest. And believe me, that in those moments, of sitting down for long hours, just being on my couch for long hours, the I shoulds were still echoing in my head. So my body stopped, but my mind was still telling me, you should go out, it's summer, you should enjoy, you should see your friends, you should be productive. But this time there was just one big difference, is that my body wasn't responding to my mind because I simply couldn't get up. So instead of fighting against those thoughts, I decided to look at what was happening to me with curiosity. So I started working with my therapist on my burnout and trying to understand what was really going on. So in that period, I was already a coach and I was actually integrating my personal journey into my coaching work. And during a meditation retreat, I started exploring my idea of success because I was actually wanting to bring this in my coaching work as well and work with people who were wondering about what it means success to me. So, and that's where I discovered two different parts of myself. One was just keeping the same pattern. So I was just saying, you should do this, you should do that. But then because I stopped in the meditation retreat and I allowed myself to listen deeper inside, there was a small voice that was whispering, you can, you are allowed. I allow myself to take breaks, to trust the process, to believe the things are going to come and I don't need to to be productive every day for 10 hours per day to actually get results. So I realized that how many of my beliefs not only came from my workaholic family who used to work more than 10 hours per day, and that was my example in life, but also from all the shoulds the society bring. So the expectation that a 35 years old woman like me should have a successful career, enough money in the bank account to build a house, to buy a car, to feel free, but just to show to society that I'm where society expects me to be at 35 years old. Because that's the message that society gives us, isn't it? That we should own a house and a car because that's what makes us free. But then you have to pay for both of those things. So you have to work harder to pay off your debts. But generally, except some exceptions, generally we finish to pay our debts when we are like 60, 65. So when we retire and eventually we die. So we just go back to Merisapa, 6 years old, who is like, why should I live like that? Why should I live just pay my debts or life, work hard to then just feel free when I'm 65? So that's when I realized that I was like, oh my God, I'm really pursuing this horrible life when I actually earn money to buy stuff that eventually are going to break and then I need to fix. But of course, this idea is so established in my head that nowadays sometimes I can remember that I don't need to live like that, that I'm not in this world to buy stuff that need to be fixed, they need to be paid until I'm 65 or later. This is not my mission of life. And sometimes I remember myself that, but many times my brain tells me who I should be today and that I'm not. So this thought doesn't limit, it's there because I think it's so much established. And I ask you if you also resonate with this, if all these things I just said resonate, like your shirts can be different from mine, but they may resonate with you. So let me ask you something. Imagine nobody expects anything from you. And when I say nobody, I mean also yourself, from all those beliefs of the society. So there is no checklist, no pressure. How would you love to live your life? And that's the question of this podcast, which is not how should I live, but how would I love to live? And that's completely different, right? And what I would invite you to do this week, it's actually just to notice those I should. So I don't tell you to dismantle all the shoulds that you have and trying to live differently. No, because that's hard. Because there are beliefs that are so rooted in our life. So it doesn't work like that. We can just dismantle things like that. But what we can do at first is just to notice the I should. And then notice what happens in our body when we say to ourselves, oh, I should work uh, uh, 10 hours a day, and then I should see my friends because social life is important, and I'm tired. I need to go to the gym. I need to eat healthy, even if I don't have time today. All those shoulds, how they react in your body. Do you feel your body closed, tense? How your body react to to those shoulds? And how your mind, and when I say mind, I mean how you feel. Do you feel free when you tell to yourself, I should do this, I should do that? Or do you feel constrained? So write it down, and I invite you to share these thoughts, these feelings, and your thoughts in the comments so we can actually build a community. And I invite you to click in the link in the description and join my WhatsApp community. We are going to meet twice a month, and together we'll explore practical strategies to help you move away from what's making your life uncomfortable and towards a life that feels more authentic and aligned with who you are. So I'm going to bring exercises and practical things to do. So every time we meet, you can bring a little change in your life with you. And the group is also a wonderful place to get inspired by other people's journeys and just feel that you are in a community, you're not alone. So I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Until then, I wish an authentic day. Bye.